He stumbled into the alley, the downpour soaking him to the bone, and collapsed against a chain-link fence, the photo crumpling in his fist as sobs racked his body. Raw, guttural cries that echoed off the brick walls like accusations to a god who wasn't listening. In that moment, as lightning cracked the sky and thunder rolled like Judgment Day, Isaac swore he'd rise from this gutter. Not just survive, but conquer the empire that had spat him out, piece by jagged piece. Years blurred into a relentless grind after that night, the kind of American dream forged in the fires of desperation and diner coffee. Isaac hitched a ride to Milwaukee first, crashing on a distant cousin's lumpy couch who eyed him like yesterday's trash, whispering prayers over dinner that he'd find the right path. But the path was a dead-end factory line in a Rust Belt town, where he welded beams until his hands blistered and his back screamed, saving every crumpled $5 bill in a coffee can under the mattress. Nights were for community college classes squeezed between shifts, poring over dog-eared textbooks on business and engineering by the flicker of a bare bulb. His mind a whirlwind of blueprints and revenge fantasies. Harlan and Sons, that monolithic steel mill churning out rebar for Chicago's skyscrapers, now helmed by his uncle after Dad's heart attack 2 years in. By 22, Isaac had clawed his way to a junior engineer's spot at a smaller outfit in Madison, Wisconsin, where the winters bit like wolves and the pay barely covered ramen and rent in a shoebox apartment overlooking Lake Monona. It was there, amid the hum of fluorescent lights and the clack of keyboards, that he met Theo, short for Theodore Langston, a lanky graphic designer with a mop of blonde curls and eyes like summer cornfields, who sauntered into the break room one Tuesday with a tray of donuts and a grin that could melt glaciers. "You look like you could use a sugar rush, Mr. Broody," Theo quipped, sliding a glazed one across the table, his voice carrying that easy Midwestern lilt that made everything sound like an invitation. Isaac glanced up from his sketches, grease smudged on his cheek, and felt something shift. A spark in the sterile air, warm and forbidden. They'd talk for hours after that, stolen moments in the parking lot, where Theo's beat-up Honda idled, sharing stories over lukewarm beers. Theo's coming-out tale in a liberal arts college dorm, all cheers and rainbow flags. Isaac's, a baptism by fire that left scars he hid under flannel shirts. Love crept in slow, like dawn over the lake. First a brush of fingers passing tools, then a hesitant kiss in Theo's studio apartment, posters of indie bands peeling from the walls, the taste of cherry chapstick and possibility on Isaac's lips. But love in the heartland was a fragile thing, laced with the undercurrent of small-town stares and whispered slurs. They moved to Chicago when Isaac landed a promotion at a mid-tier fabrication firm, trading Madison's quiet for the city's electric pulse. Tall buildings that pierced the clouds, diverse neighborhoods where holding hands didn't always draw glares. Their first apartment was a walk-up in Wicker Park, creaky floors and a fire escape where they'd smoke joints at midnight, Theo sketching logos on napkins while Isaac mapped out supply chains on his laptop. "We're building something real here," Theo murmured one night, his head on Isaac's chest, fingers tracing the faded tattoo on his forearm. A steel beam intertwined with a rainbow thread, inked in a Milwaukee parlor on his 20th birthday. "Not just us, but everything. You and me against the world, babe." Isaac believed it, God help him. He poured his soul into the job, innovating lean manufacturing processes that slashed costs and boosted output, earning nods from suits who saw dollar signs in his ideas but never the man behind them. Harlan and Sons loomed in the periphery, a behemoth dominating the skyline from afar, its smokestacks belching defiance. Whispers reached him through industry rags. His cousin Eddie, now VP, married with kids, steering the family legacy with the same iron fist Dad had wielded. Isaac buried the ache, channeling it into late nights at the office, Theo's laughter the only balm. At 28, the breakthrough came. A patent for modular steel framing that revolutionized prefab construction, snapped up by a venture capitalist from Silicon Valley sniffing for Rust Belt gold. Overnight, Isaac's name buzzed in boardrooms, his startup, Harlan Forge Innovations, a deliberate spit in the eye to the old name, exploding from garage prototype to a sleek loft office in the Loop. Theo quit his freelance gig to handle branding, his designs turning cold metal into sleek, modern icons that graced billboards from coast to coast. They bought a brownstone in Lincoln Park, hosted brunches with a tight-knit circle of queer friends, drag queens from Boys Town, activists from the lakefront, where stories flowed like mimosas, laughter drowning out the ghosts. Yet cracks spiderwebbed beneath the surface. Theo grew distant, his sketches sharper, moodier, late nights at client meetings that smelled of cologne Isaac didn't wear. It's just stress he'd say, avoiding those hazel eyes that saw too much. Isaac, ever the fixer, doubled down. Surprise weekends in Saugatuck, Michigan, where dunes met Lake Michigan in sandy embraces, making love under star-pricked skies until dawn. I love you more than this city, more than the steel, Isaac whispered once, Theo's curls damp against his shoulder. But love, like rebar, could bend only so far before snapping. The betrayal hit like a freight train derailment, wreckage spilling across their polished life. It was a Thursday in early fall, leaves turning gold outside their bay window, when Isaac came home early from a site visit, arms full of Thai takeout and a bottle of Theo's favorite Pinot. The bedroom door creaked open to a tableau etched in agony. Theo tangled in sheets with Marcus, Isaac's rising star project manager, their laughter dying like a snuffed candle as Isaac stood frozen, the paper bag slipping from his grip, pad thai splattering across the hardwood like blood. You son of a... The words choked out, raw and ragged, as Theo bolted upright, sheets clutched to his chest, eyes wide with the panic of the caught. Marcus scrambled for pants, mumbling apologies that dissolved into the ether, fleeing past Isaac like a shadow. Wait, it's not what it looks like. He's just... God, please. Theo's voice cracked, reaching out, but Isaac recoiled, the room spinning in a haze of betrayal's vertigo. Not what it looks like. I built this for us, Theo. Every late night, every pitch, every goddamn scar from that factory floor. I did it for you. Tears burned hot tracks down Isaac's face, the boy from the alley resurfacing, fists clenched against the urge to shatter everything. Theo sobbed explanations, loneliness in the spotlight, Marcus's flattery filling voids Isaac's ambition had carved. But words were hollow girders, collapsing under their own weight. By dawn, Theo was gone, suitcase thumping down the stairs, the brownstone echoing with the finality of a slammed door. Isaac didn't sleep for days, the city a blur of neon and noise, his empire teetering as focus frayed. Harlan Forge stock dipped, investors murmured, but rage became rocket fuel. He threw himself into expansion, acquiring smaller firms like chess pieces, his mind a steel trap snapping shut on opportunities. Whispers in boardrooms turned to awe. Isaac Harlan, the prodigal son turned predator, eyeing the very beast that birthed his exile. The acquisition talks started in whispers, leaked over scotch in private clubs overlooking the Chicago River, where power brokers nursed grudges and dreams alike. Harlan and Sons, once unassailable, was hemorrhaging. Outdated plants, union strikes, a boardroom coup that left Eddie Harlan scrambling to hold the throne. Isaac's team circled like sharks, due diligence reports painting a portrait of decay. Rusting machinery, bloated payrolls, and a culture still steeped in the toxic masculinity of his father's era, where family values meant pink slips for anyone who didn't toe the straight line. At 32, Isaac stood at the precipice, his office a glass eyrie in the Aeon Center, floor-to-ceiling windows framing the loop's relentless churn. Theo's ghost lingered in the empty corners, a forgotten sketchpad on the shelf, the faint scent of his cologne in the couch cushions. But Isaac had armored himself, dating casually through apps, quick hookups in hotel bars that left him hollower than before. No one got close. Trust was a luxury he'd buried with that crumpled Polaroid. The merger pitch was surgical, delivered in a mahogany-paneled conference room at Harlan and Sons headquarters, a brutalist fortress on the south side, its corridors echoing with the ghosts of welders' hammers. Eddie Harlan, paunchier now, silver temples gleaming under harsh fluorescence, extended a hand across the table, his grip clammy with false bonhomie. Isaac, been too long, nephew. Heard you made good. Proud of you, boy. Real proud. The word nephew landed like a sucker punch, dredging up memories of summer barbecues where Eddie had ruffled his hair, oblivious to the storm brewing. Isaac's jaw tightened, hazel eyes locking onto Eddie's, searching for the flicker of recognition. The unspoken faggot that had sealed his fate at 18. Pride's a funny thing, uncle, he replied, voice steady as rebar, sliding the proposal across polished oak. This deal saves your legacy. Take it or watch it crumble. Eddie scanned the pages, brows furrowing at the terms. Majority stake for Harlan Forge, Isaac at the helm. You're buying us out? After everything. A laugh, bitter and forced, bubbled up. Your old man would roll in his grave. Hell, he'd say you're still chasing boys instead of building something real. The room's air thickened, lawyers shifting uncomfortably, but Isaac didn't flinch. Dad built on hate. I'm building on what's left. He leaned forward, voice dropping to a blade's edge. Sign it, Eddie, or I'll dismantle this place brick by brick. Expose every dirty secret from those pink slips to the harassment suits buried in your files. Eddie signed, pen scratching like claws on bone, the ink drying into surrender. Headlines screamed the next day. Prodigal heir takes reins. Harlan Forge swallows family giant. Champagne corks popped in Isaac's loft, his team toasting to the dawn of a new era. But victory tasted like ash. That night, alone with the skyline's indifferent glitter, Isaac poured a whiskey neat and dialed a number he hadn't touched in 4 years. Theo answered on the third ring, voice tentative over the line. Holy shit, is that really you? Living in Brooklyn now, he'd said, designing for a tech startup, Marcus a faded mistake in the rearview. They talked for hours, words tumbling like confessions in a confessional. Regrets, what-ifs. The ache of paths diverged. I see your face everywhere, Theo admitted, soft as a sigh. Billboards, magazines. You're a king now. Not a king, just a survivor. Isaac's throat tightened, the old vulnerability cracking through. Come back, Theo. One drink. No promises. Theo arrived 2 weeks later, stepping off a red-eye into O'Hare's fluorescent bustle. Curls tamed but eyes still wild with that boyish spark. They met at the Violet Hour, a speakeasy tucked in Wicker Park, dim lanterns casting amber pools over velvet booths. Theo slid into the seat across from him, older now, laugh lines etching his face, but the pull was magnetic. Fingers brushing over shared oysters, stories weaving through craft cocktails until last call loomed. I fucked up, Theo whispered as they spilled onto the sidewalk, autumn wind nipping at their coats. I was scared of your fire, thought it'd burn me out. Isaac cupped his face, thumb tracing the familiar curve of his jaw, and kissed him there under the marquee lights. Slow, searing, a reclamation of stolen years. They fell back into rhythm, tentative at first, Theo crashing at the brownstone, his sketches breathing life into Harlan Ford's rebrand, turning steel into symbols of progress. Mornings blurred into shared coffee rituals, Isaac's hands on Theo's waist as they swayed to Nina Simone on the kitchen radio, the city waking beyond fogged windows. This time we build together, Isaac vowed one dawn, Theo's head pillowed on his chest, heartbeat sinking like pistons in a well-oiled machine. But empires have underbellies, and Harlan and Sons was festering. Integration unearthed horrors. Archived emails from the 90s outing workers, discriminatory policies still lurking in HR manuals, whispers of Eddie siphoning funds to cronies. Isaac dove in, restructuring with a surgeon's precision, diversity training mandatory, pride flags fluttering from factory floors, promotions doled out on merit, not bloodlines. Workers who toiled in the shadows approached him in break rooms, stories spilling like oil from cracked pipes. A welder drummed out for his partner's obituary notice. A supervisor blackmailed into silence. One evening, as snow dusted the South Side plants, a grizzled veteran named Ray cornered Isaac by the loading docks, thermos steaming in the cold. You remember me, kid? I was the one who snitched on you back then. Your dad paid me to keep quiet about. Well, you know. Ray's eyes, roomy with age, darted away. Thought it'd save my spot. Lost my boy to AIDS not long after. If I'd known. Isaac's breath fogged the air, fists balling in his coat pockets. The boy from the alley snarling for blood. But he saw Ray's tremor, the weight of decades' regret, and something shifted. A bridge over the chasm of hate. You did what you did to survive, Isaac said finally, voice rough as gravel. Now help me fix it. Train the new hires on the codes. Make sure no one else gets kicked to the curb. Ray nodded, a tear freezing on his cheek, and clasped Isaac's hand. Calluses meeting calluses, a pact forged in forgiveness's fragile fire. Theo saw the toll, the way Isaac's shoulders sagged after 12-hour days, hazel eyes shadowed anew. You're carrying the whole damn company on your back, he'd say, drawing a bath laced with Epsom salts, massaging knots from Isaac's neck until tension ebbed like receding tide. Their love deepened, rooted now in shared scars, Theo opening up about his own family's rejection. A conservative clan in Iowa who'd cut ties after his coming out parade float. Sex was reclamation. Bodies entwined in the king-sized bed overlooking the lake. Whispers of mine. And forever gasped against sweat-slick skin. Yet doubt gnawed at the edges. A serpent in the garden. Eddie, relegated to a ceremonial board seat, simmered with resentment, lunching with old guard holdouts who grumbled about the queer takeover. Whispers reached Isaac's ears. Sabotage in the supply chain, anonymous leaks to trade pubs questioning his agenda. Theo, ever the optimist, waved them off. Paranoid much? We're golden, babe. The storm broke on a frigid January morning, wind howling off Lake Michigan like a banshee's wail, rattling the brownstone's windows as Isaac scrolled through his inbox over black coffee. The email from an anonymous sender blinked like a landmine. Attachments spilling Theo's texts to Marcus, flirty emojis, late-night meetups in Brooklyn bars, promises of what we had before is got too big for his britches. Timestamped just last month, during Isaac's week-long conference in Vegas sealing a West Coast deal. His mug shattered on the tile, ceramic shards scattering like his trust, coffee pooling dark as betrayal's ink. Theo stirred in the bedroom, padding out in boxers and a faded Harlan Forge tee, curls sleep-rumpled. Morning, handsome. What's... His words died at Isaac's face. The printed emails fanned across the island like a house of cards mid-collapse. Is baby no. This is bullshit. Hacked, or some sick joke from Eddie. Theo lunged for the pages, but Isaac snatched them away, hazel eyes blazing with a fury honed over 17 years. Bullshit? You think I'm some mark? I saw the timestamps, Theo. Miss your hands on me. Is all work, no play. You played me again. Theo's face crumpled, color draining to ghost white. It was nothing. A weak moment after that fight about the holidays. Marcus reached out and I responded. But I stopped it, I swear. I chose you. He sank to his knees, clutching Isaac's legs, sobs racking his frame. Don't do this. We fixed us. Remember Saugatuck? The dunes? Isaac wrenched free, the contact burning like acid. We fixed what you broke once. Not twice. Memories flooded, Theo's laughter in Madison. Their first fight melting into make-up sex on the fire escape. The vow under stars. But now it twisted, poisoned. Get out. Before I say something that ends us for good. Theo left with a duffel and a slammed door, the echo reverberating through the empty house like a death knell. Isaac called in sick, barricading himself in the office, poring over ledgers until numbers blurred into rage. Eddie, he knew. The old man's fingerprints all over it. A final jab from a cornered rat. By noon, security escorted Eddie from the premises, his bluster dissolving into curses as boxes of personal effects trailed him out. The fallout rippled outward, Harlan Forge stock tumbling on rumors of infighting, suppliers balking at delayed shipments. Isaac manned the war room, a converted conference space ringed by white bards scrawled with contingencies. His team a loyal phalanx of young guns who'd bought into the vision. We're pivoting, he declared in a video all hands, face gaunt but resolute on screens from South Side floors to satellite offices in Detroit. This isn't about one man's pettiness. It's about us workers, innovators, families. We've endured worse. Now we rise. Privately, the unraveling clawed deeper. Sleepless nights bled into dawn runs along the lakefront, pounding pavement until lungs burned. Theo's texts pinging unanswered. Please, talk to me. I love you, always will. Isaac deleted them in batches, each swipe a cauterized wound. But the void echoed louder than ever. At a gala fundraiser in Boys Town. Gala as in gay and lesbian alliance, not the finery. Friends cornered him amid rainbow streamers and pulsing house music. You're a ghost is, his best friend Lila, a fierce trans attorney, said over Cosmos. Theo was a dick. But you're punishing yourself too. He's the second betrayal in my bloodline. Isaac shot back, voice thick with bourbon. First Dad and Eddie, now him. What's left? Lila's hand on his arm was steady. You, that's what's left. And that company you turned into a beacon. Don't let them dim it. Spring thawed the city, cherry blossoms unfurling along Michigan Avenue like tentative flags of truce. Harlan Forge stabilized, the modular patent licensing deals pouring in, factories humming with a diverse hum, women in hard hats leading crews, queer apprentices mentored by vets like Ray. Isaac threw himself into advocacy, speaking at pride panels, donating to shelters where kids like 18-year-old him landed after being kicked to the curb. One evening, at a youth center in Uptown, he met Javier, a wiry 19-year-old with tattoos snaking up his arms and eyes that mirrored his own guarded hope. Javi, as he insisted, had fled a Bible Belt suburb after his pastor dad found his Grindr chats, washing up in Chicago with a backpack and fire in his veins. Want to change the world, or just bitch about it? Javi challenged during a workshop on entrepreneurship, his grin cocky but voice laced with the tremor of survival. Isaac mentored him, Saturdays in the loft poring over business plans for a sustainable apparel line. Javi's designs fusing streetwear with eco-fabrics, bold prints shouting queer anthems. It started platonic, coffee runs turning to deep dives on systemic bias, Javi's laugh cutting through Isaac's walls like sunlight through blinds. "You're intense, man," Javi said one afternoon, sprawled on the couch with sketches, legs tangled innocently, but in a good way, like you get it, the fight. Isaac's gaze lingered on Javi's full lips, the curve of his neck, a pull he hadn't felt since Theo's heyday. Caution warred with want, but when Javi leaned in during a rain-lashed evening, their kiss ignited slow and sure, tentative tongues, hands mapping new territories with the reverence of second chances. Javi moved in by summer, his energy a whirlwind infusing the brownstone with life. Murals on blank walls, playlists of Bad Bunny and Frank Ocean blasting from speakers, midnight brainstorming sessions that bled into dawn. "This is home," Javi whispered post-love, body slick and spent, Isaac's fingers threading through his dark waves. "You made it that way," but reconciliation's shadow loomed. Theo resurfaced at an industry mixer in the merchandise mart, sleek in a tailored suit, glass of Malbec in hand. "You look incredible." His eyes flicked to Javi at Isaac's side, a flash of regret sharpening his features. "Happy for you, really." Isaac's arm tightened around Javi's waist, a shield and statement. "Theo, this is Javi. We're good." Small talk flowed awkward as barbed wire, but later, in the cab home, Javi's quiet pierced the hum. "That him? The ex?" "Yeah." Isaac exhaled, staring at rain-streaked windows. "Hurt like hell. But you're different. Real." Javi's hand squeezed his thigh. "Damn right. Now kiss me before I steal your thunder." The high tide of summer crested into a perfect storm of ambition and absolution. Harlan Ford's annual summit packed the Palmer House ballroom, chandeliers dripping light over tables groaning with Midwestern fare, deep dish bites, craft IPAs flowing like the river outside. Isaac keynote, voice booming through speakers. "We started in alleys and factories, cast out for who we love. Today we stand as one, straight, gay, trans, all of us, building not just steel but futures." Applause thundered, but backstage, Eddie waited, uninvited, face floored with scotch and spite. "Fancy speech, nephew, but you're no Harlan, just a pansy playing dress-up." He thrust a USB drive forward. "Proof your boy's leaking designs to competitors. Pay me off or it goes public." Isaac's blood iced, but he pocketed it coolly. "You never learn, do you? Sit." Eddie complied, bluster fading in the dim wings. "Dad kicked me out because I kissed a boy. You signed off. Now look. I'm saving what you nearly destroyed." Eddie's defiance cracked, tears streaking jowls. "I was wrong. Feared losing the name. But you honored it better than I ever could." "Forgive." Isaac echoed, the word a foreign bird on his tongue. "Not yet, but work with me," advised the legacy board. "Earn it." Eddie nodded, broken but mending, and Isaac watched him shuffle into the night, a weight lifting like fog over the lake. Javi found him later, pulling him onto the dance floor amid swirling gowns and suits, bodies swaying to a remix of Dancing Queen. "Proud of you," Javi murmured, lips brushing Isaac's ear. "King of your own damn empire." As confetti rained and laughter swelled, Isaac pulled back, hazel eyes locking on Javi's. The past's chains finally snapped. "Not king, just me. And you. That's enough." Autumn wove its golden web over Chicago, leaves carpeting the lakefront paths in crimson and amber, mirroring the slow burn of healing in Isaac's chest. Harlan Forge thrived under the new guard, its campuses, once grim fortresses of exclusion, transformed into hubs of innovation. Solar-paneled roofs glinting like promises, community gardens blooming between loading bays, mentorship programs linking grizzled vets with wide-eyed queer youth. Ray, redeemed, led welding classes with a quiet zeal. His stories of past sins now cautionary tales that bound rather than broke. Javi's line launched to acclaim, Forged Threads, debuting at a pop-up in Boys Town. Racks of hoodies emblazoned with interlocking gears and rainbows drawing lines around the block. Isaac manned the till between fittings, his blazer swapped for a graphic tee that read, Build Bold. Laughing as Javi draped a prototype scarf around his neck. Looks good on you, boss man. Makes you look almost approachable. Only almost? Isaac teased, tugging Javi close for a quick kiss that lingered, tasting of street hot dogs and possibility. Their life wove seamless now. Mornings tangled in sheets, Javi's legs slung over Isaac's. Evenings grilling on the back deck, wine uncorked as the city hummed below. No ghosts haunted the corners. Theo had faded to a polite text chain, his Brooklyn life a distant constellation, their closure sealed in a coffee shop truce months back. I wish you every happiness, Theo had said, eyes genuine in their sorrow. Isaac had nodded, the scar tissue flexible now. Same. Take care. But absolution's path twisted, as life's does, demanding one final reckoning. It came unbidden on a crisp November eve, the kind where frost nips the air and streetlights halo the fog. Isaac's phone buzzed during a board dinner at RPM Steak, the screen lighting his face with a Milwaukee area code. His mother, Clara Harlan, voice frail as spun glass. Isaac? It's me. Can we talk? He excused himself to the balcony, the river glittering below like a vein of molten silver. Mom! The word hung, unused for 17 years, heavy with the unsaid. She'd stood silent that rainy night, hands wringing her apron as Dad's tirade peaked. Her hill come around a feeble lifeline that never reached him. I'm sorry, she blurted, tears audible. For everything. Your father. He was scared, trapped in his ways. After he passed, I saw it all clear. Eddie's a mess now, drinking himself under. But you built beauty from our ashes. Isaac gripped the railing, knuckles whitening. Why now? Pause, ragged breath. Cancer. Stage 4. I want to see you before. Please. The flight to O'Hare for Milwaukee was a blur. Javi at his side, hand steady in his lap. Whatever it is, you've got this, Javi murmured, thumbs circling soothing patterns. They drove up in the Tesla, windshield wipers swiping at flurries, the old Harlan homestead looming unchanged. A squat rancher on the city's edge, porch light flickering welcome. Clara waited in the kitchen, thinner, cheeks hollowed, but her hug enveloped him like warm bread, smelling of lavender and regret. My boy, she whispered, pulling back to cup his face, tracing the lines time and triumph had etched. Javi hung back, respectful, but she drew him in too. And you? Thank you for bringing him home. Dinner was simple. Pot roast, mashed potatoes, the table set for ghosts and grace. Stories spilled. Clara's quiet rebellion, slipping 20s into Isaac's duffel that night. Her therapy sessions post-dad, unraveling the knots of complicity. Eddie joined later, sober for once. His apology a gravelly monologue over coffee. I signed that deal to spite you, but you saved us. The plants are alive again because of your fire. Isaac listened, the boy in the alley warring with the man he'd forged. It wasn't fire, it was survival. And love. Finding it, losing it, choosing it anyway. His gaze flicked to Javi, who squeezed his knee under the table, a silent anchor. Clara's hand trembled as she passed an old photo album, yellowed pages chronicling a life Isaac had mythologized into villainy. Dad young and laughing at a mill picnic, Clara radiant in a sundress, baby Isaac gurgling in her arms. We failed you, she said softly, but you're the best of us. Tears came then, unbidden, Isaac's shoulders shaking as Clara held him, Javi's arm around them both. I forgive you, Mom. For real this time. The drive back to Chicago dawned brittle clear, sun gilding the highway like fresh welds. Javi drove, radio low on a podcast about queer icons. Isaac staring at the passing fields, heart a lighter lattice. That was heavy, Javi said at a rest stop, over vending machine coffee. You okay? Isaac pulled him close, forehead to forehead. More than okay. Whole maybe, for the first time. Winter blanketed the city in hush, holidays strung with lights that twinkled like stars reclaimed. Harlan-Ford's holiday party filled the Field Museum's Great Hall, T-Rex skeleton looming benevolent over the crowd, workers mingling with execs in a tapestry of faces, black, brown, white, all threads in the weave. Isaac and Javi arrived arm in arm, Javi's suit sharp with a forged threads pocket square. Isaac's tie loosened, hazel eyes bright with unshadowed joy. Ray cornered them by the hors d'oeuvres, a spry 70 now, arm linked with his husband of 5 years, a retired teacher with a gentle smile. "Boss," Ray boomed, clapping Isaac's back. "Heard about your ma. Tough, but you handled it like a pro. Proud to work for you." "The feeling's mutual," Isaac replied, clinking glasses, the toast rippling outward. As midnight neared, the floor cleared for a slow dance, strings swelling with "At Last." Isaac drew Javi close, bodies swaying in sync, the dinosaur's shadow a guardian over their world. "What now?" Javi murmured, breath warm against his neck. "Now, we keep building." Isaac's voice was steady, laced with the quiet thunder of certainty. "You, me, this crazy family we made. No more alleys, no more betrayals. Just forward." Javi's grin flashed, wicked and tender. "Lead the way, King." Outside, snow fell soft as forgiveness, blanketing the streets in possibility. Isaac Harlan, once a kicked-out kid with a crumpled photo and a heart full of hurt, stepped into the night hand in hand with love reborn. The company he'd conquered wasn't just steel and stock. It was redemption's forge, hammering hate into hope, one resilient beam at a time. And in that American heartland sprawl, under a sky vast as second chances, he finally breathed free.